Hello everyone and welcome to Super Rugby for the preview of the Stormers ahead of the Super Rugby Unlocked Challenge. We've been previewing every team as the days go by. We've already done Lions, we've already done Sharks, and now we move on to the Stormers. And the Stormers have always been that side who have always been stacked with players, stacked with talent, but have always kind of underperformed in the Super Rugby. I think one Super Rugby final, less than any of the other sides, and about four semi-final appearances. So it's always a side where there's so much talent, but they just haven't really converted that into playoffs, into finals or trophies, And I think this will be a good time, given the fact that it's such a short and localized tournament. It's a nice time for them to try and sort of break the duck, and actually go and win the Super Rugby. Yes, it is only a South African competition, but silverware is silverware at the end of the day. And, for a team that has, it's a squad that's been announced with 9 Springbok players, 9 capped players, and a host of really talented youngsters. The Stormers should be doing a lot better. And yes, the union under a lot of issues, and there's been lots of administration issues over the past few years and stuff like that. But you look at the players on the field, the players at the disposal of John Dobson, and they underperform, and this is a chance for them to sort of put this behind them and to get the consistency back in their game. And you just look at the squad, and it's such a good squad. And they start the Super Rugby off with a bye, so they get an extra week of fitness and match sharpness. So when they do start next week, they really need to hit the ground running. Because they're going to be chasing it, and that's the one problem. So it's nice to get a bye in the first week, and that you get the opportunity to get a bit fitter, to spend some more time with the team. It does, however, mean they are now chasing the rest of the teams, because obviously they'll be a game behind. So if you look at the squad that they've announced, let's go through it. Okay, so Joanna Augustus, Quenzo Bloza, Jaco Coetzee, Angela Davids, Paul de Wet, Ben Jason Dixon, Dan du Plessis, Johan de Toy, Peter Steph de Toy, Nedley Pocher, Warwick Galant, Michael Hasner, Lyle Hendricks, Herschel Yankees, Stephen Kitsoff, Sia Khaleesi, JJ Kotzer, Tristan Late, Leon Lyons, Frans Malherbe, Godlin Masimla, Bongi Manambi, David Mayhazen, Salma Murat, Matt Moore, Ruhan Nel, Stietle Njazula, Scarrow Ntabeni, Sergio Peterson, Rickers Pretorius, Sazi Sandi, JD Schikkerling, Christopher Schroeder, Sibele Sinatla, Cornel Smith, Chad Solomon, Tim Swiel, Marcel Tiernezen, Edwil van der Merwe, Abner van Reenen, Ernst van Rijn, Chris van Zyl, Damian Willemse, Cade Bulliter, Namak Baba, Leon Zas, and Mnombo Zwilindaba. So, look, that's quite a big squad. Obviously, you're not going to see all those players, but there are so many names that stand out there. You look at the pack, and for me, it's the best pack. It's arguably the best pack in the country. You look at that front row, and a front row of Stephen Kitsoff, Bongi Manambi, and Frans Malherbe. It's basically the South Africa front row, and coming off the bench, you've still got, Scarrow Ntabeni. He's been capped by the Springboks. There are some seriously good players at the Stormers, and it's such a big pack. Joanna Augustus is a freak of a player. He's a huge chap. A proper unit. Sang Murat, SA 20 is also a very big player. Jada Schikkerling, very big. And then you've got Sia Khaleesi, who's playing some nice rugby at the moment. Looked very good in both the showdown as well as the that Super Fan Saturday. And he obviously captains the side. And and if Peter Steph Toy comes back, even John DeToy as well, they've just got a really, really good pack. It's almost just shy of a fully capped pack, as well as Springboks on the bench itself. So for me, the best pack in the competition, and they need to use that to their example. Damian Willemse really struggled in the showdown, and it was quite obvious. Based on that match alone, the reason that Erasmus sort of keeps backing Yankees as the second choice far half is because he's settled, he's mature, he understands his game, and he's playing well. Damian Willemse had a chance last weekend in the showdown to sort of stake a claim and sort of say, you know what, I'm actually ready to play as the second choice flower half for the Springboks. I am an option. And he underwhelmed, to be honest. He struggled. He was very enthusiastic, and in many ways too enthusiastic. He looked like he was trying too hard to prove a point, and he looked quite good, solid on the defense. but just was quite error-ridden. A couple of poor kicks. His kicking for goal wasn't particularly good. A couple of stray passes, and just he really struggled. But him and Herschel Yankees, in theory, if this pack can give them front foot four, can rip teams apart. They're both very attacking-minded players with a very good range of attacking players within the back line. Sergio Peterson, really quick. Sergio Sebelis Natla, there's pace in this back line. Warwick Gelant, one of the best attacking fullbacks, probably the best attacking fullback in the country. Also looking really good. He's just technically so good. Got a really good left foot. Ruan Null, was knocking on the door for World Cup selection. I mean, he just sort of threw his name in the hat there. So it's a very well balanced squad, and on paper, you look at that starting lineup, and it's a fantastic starting lineup, and they should be doing better. And it's always just been this sort of this enigma as to why the Stormers just can't quite do what they should be doing, because they should be the favourites in the tournament. The talent they've got, and being in the Western Cape, they always will have an abundance of talent. There's so many good rugby players that come out of the Western Cape, and they've got the Eastern Cape, which they draw a lot of players from as well. There should be a lot of talent coming out there, and there is. And I mean, two names which I'm very interested to see if they get chances is Matt Moore and Sazi Sandi, because I actually had the chance of watching them quite a lot as schoolboys. Both St Andrews products. Sazi Sandi, captain St Andrews. Matt Moore broke the try scoring record. And you watch these two, and you knew that they were good enough to go on and do something. So I'm very curious to see if they get the chance to play and how they can step up, because Sazi Sandi played for SA under-20s. And Matt Moore went overseas straight after school, and now he's back. So keen to see how they can play, because I watched a lot of them when they were here, back playing for St Andrews. And obviously Cade Bulleter, who is also back from France. Obviously, I mean, he was part of those 22 players that went overseas immediately after school, and there was this massive issue where all these players were being signed by French clubs straight out of school. Clermont, Montpellier, the bunch of them. And he's come back, and he was involved in the showdown, and he's a very talented player. I worry that he's being rushed too much, and that in us bringing him back, we're trying to sort of, we've obviously, I think he's obviously been certain assurances that it'll be part of certain long-term thing, which is always a dangerous game, because you're giving an 18-year-old insurance. I mean, this time last year he was playing for matric finals. He's a very young player, and you don't want to give him too many assurances. Because then you have to sort of deliver to him. But he's a very exciting young player, and it's interesting to see, because I keep saying that this tournament's going to be a lot about youngsters and about seeing players we don't always see, and players we might not know that much about, given the chance to have runouts, which is why we could actually see, Cade Bulleter get more game time. So another squad where there's a nice mix of youngsters, but there's so much experience. As I said, I mean, that front row, the leadership in that team, that front row is fantastic, and Bongi Manambi has just grown as a player in the last 2 years in a way I don't think anybody really could. I mean, if you had said 2 years ago that Bongi Manambi would have eclipsed Malcolm Marx for a starting position in the final, they would have called you nuts, but he deserved it. He played Malcolm Marx onto the bench because he was so clinical with what he had to do. He did everything he needs. He does everything he needs to do very, very well. His lineouts are reliable. He gives us all. He's solid on the defense. He's become a very powerful hooker. And I think, we are so blessed with our hooker stocks to have Bongi Manambi and Malcolm Marx, where last year during the World Cup, it was much of a muchness. You really couldn't argue which one played, because they were both playing so well. And he's one of those players that just gives everything for the team. I mean, P-Step Totoy is the World Rugby Player of the Year. This is the talent that this side has. They should be one of the. They should have always been pushing for Super Rugby title, but they never really did. So this is a chance for them in a bit of a watered down, if we want to call it that, tournament. They've got a chance to stake their claim as the top SA side, and all squads are looking really good, but some very, very bright. I mean, I think Joanna Augustus is a matter of time before he becomes a Springbok. Sam Murat as well, future Springbok. So some proper talent. Rikus Pretorius looks very, very talented. He had lots of also quite an experienced SA under-20 player. So it's time for the Stormers to step up, and to really push for trophies, because they've always had the squad, they've always had the players, but just their on-field performance, they've just struggled to put it together. So maybe this is the time. Played very well in the Fan Saturday Showdown, and yeah, I mean they've got a bye, so don't get to see them this weekend, and then they start their season off against the Lions. So they've got Lions in Newlands next weekend. So and also the last few games at Newlands before the sort of proposed move away from the stadium. So so much to play for the Stormers, and as I said, a time for them really to start performing to their ability. And I think if they can, if that team gels, they can do some serious damage. And I think we're in for a very good competition, because with every squad you look at, there's lots of exciting players to look out for, and Stormers is no exception. So yeah, I think they're going to do well, and I'm backing them to. I mean, they'll definitely get semi-finals. I don't think that'll be an issue, but how far they can get within the semi-finals is another matter. We'll have to wait and see, but make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you think in the comments. Are there any other players who you've seen in the squad which capture your eye? What are you hoping as Stormers fans? What are you hoping to get as rival fans? What are you the most concerned about when you look at the Stormers squad? Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, bottom right-hand corner there. Turn on notifications as well, so you always are up to date with the latest content from the channel. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your week. My name is Stephen Pettit, and I will talk to you soon.